What if I told you that Edgar Cayce, the renowned sleeping prophet, predicted a massive shift in global consciousness and physical reality before December 2025? This isn't just a vague prophecy tossed into the ether, but a collection of detailed insights drawn from decades of trance readings that uncover a sweeping transformation waiting to unfold. Cayce's warnings point to a profound upheaval, one that touches not only external events like politics and the environment, but also the very core of our spiritual and personal evolution. The shift he described is monumental, signaling a pivotal moment in human history that demands our attention and preparation. Imagine the ripple effects of such a shift. Entire societies awakening to new ways of thinking, old systems crumbling to make way for renewal, and an unprecedented collective transformation that could alter the fabric of reality itself. This isn't about fear or despair. Cayce's vision carries an urgent message of hope and awakening. It urges us to open our minds and hearts to the coming changes, to prepare ourselves not just practically, but spiritually and mentally. His readings invite us to embrace this transition as an opportunity for growth and profound understanding. In this exploration, we will unpack the context of Cayce's prophecy, examine the signs he described as precursors to the shift, and look closely at the timeline he provided leading up to December 2025. We will also discuss practical steps you can take to align yourself with this transformative energy. The purpose here is to offer clarity and insight, not to incite panic, but to encourage preparedness and mindfulness. As you journey through this article, you may find your perspective on the future and your role within it fundamentally changed. Edgar Cayce was a remarkable figure in early 20th century America, often remembered as the sleeping prophet. Born in 1877 in Kentucky, Cayce's life took a unique turn when he began entering trance states in which he could access information far beyond his conscious knowledge. Unlike many psychics who claimed visions or sporadic insights, Cayce's work was systematic and extensive, conducted under controlled conditions that made his trance readings a fascinating subject of study. His ability to provide detailed information on health, spirituality, past lives, and future events earned him a reputation as a pioneer in holistic health and psychic phenomena. Over the course of his life, Cayce gave more than 14,000 documented readings. These sessions were recorded carefully by assistants, creating an extensive archive that remains accessible to this day. His readings covered a broad range of topics: medical diagnoses, spiritual guidance, interpretations of dreams, and predictions about world events. What makes Cayce's work particularly intriguing is not only the volume but also the consistency and depth of his insights, many of which were later validated by scientific discoveries or historical developments. Researchers and spiritual seekers alike continue to study these readings because they provide a window into a form of knowledge that bridges the physical and metaphysical realms. Cayce's reputation is bolstered by the accuracy of many of his past predictions, which lends weight to his warnings about a major shift occurring before December 2025. He foresaw the rise and fall of world powers, changes in the Earth's geology, and transformations in human consciousness with surprising precision. This track record of correctness encourages a serious examination of his prophecies, especially as the projected date approaches. Understanding Cayce's credibility helps frame why his warnings about a massive shift deserve close attention. These are not idle speculations, but carefully documented messages from a deeply intuitive source. This foundation sets the stage for exploring the details of the shift he predicted and the implications it carries for our future. Cayce's predictions regarding a massive shift before December 2025 are among the most sobering and thought-provoking aspects of his legacy. Far from being a single catastrophic event, Cayce described this shift as a multi-layered transformation encompassing both physical upheaval and a profound spiritual awakening. In numerous readings, especially those given during the 1930s and 1940s, he warned of earth changes that would serve as both a warning and a catalyst, forcing humanity to confront its disconnection from natural law, universal truths, and spiritual purpose. On the physical level, Cayce's readings foretold a series of escalating natural disasters. He spoke of increased volcanic activity, unusual patterns in the weather, and particularly devastating earthquakes. One of his most well-known predictions involves dramatic geological changes, the shifting of the Earth's poles, causing a reconfiguration of land masses. He pointed to specific areas, such as the U.S. West Coast, parts of Japan, and areas along fault lines as zones where major Earth changes would begin to manifest. According to Cayce, these events were not isolated phenomena, but deeply interconnected and driven by imbalances in both the Earth's energies and humanity's collective consciousness. He also emphasized climate change long before it became a widely acknowledged concept. Cayce warned that the warming of oceans and shifts in atmospheric conditions would accelerate, leading to floods in some regions and droughts in others. This chaotic weather pattern, he suggested, would be part of a larger rebalancing process in which the planet itself would react to the energetic weight of humanity's actions, both destructive and unconscious. Yet while these physical warnings might seem bleak, Cayce consistently paired them with visions of renewal. The shift, he explained, would not solely bring devastation, but also the opportunity for rebirth. Just as forests grow back stronger after fire, societies and individuals would be presented with a choice: to cling to outdated systems rooted in fear and separation, or to embrace new ways of living that reflect unity, love, and awareness. This spiritual transformation, he said, would emerge as more people tuned into higher frequencies of consciousness. A new global awareness would begin to form, one that transcended borders, creeds, and material obsessions. This rising collective consciousness, according to Cayce, would be accompanied by the emergence of spiritual gifts in ordinary people, heightened intuition, healing abilities, and deeper empathy. Institutions based on ego, competition, or exploitation would begin to crumble under their own weight, replaced by more cooperative, heart-centered models. Communities would increasingly turn to sustainable practices, holistic healing, and spiritual disciplines not out of trend, but out of necessity. The external chaos would drive people inward, prompting a mass reevaluation of values, priorities, and purpose. What makes Cayce's vision particularly powerful is the duality at its core. The same shift that brings earthquakes and floods also births insight, connection, and opportunity. This isn't about fate, but potential, a warning balanced with promise. With this in mind, the natural question becomes, how close are we to the onset of such events? And more importantly, are there signs that tell us the shift is already underway? Among the most compelling aspects of Cayce's body of work are the subtle, yet persistent references to timeframes, windows of change that point to key decades and transitional moments. While Cayce was often careful not to assign exact dates to large-scale events, several of his readings hinted the build-up toward a crescendo of change that aligns closely with the current decade. In fact, some of his most analyzed readings refer to patterns that would unfold in the years to come, specifying periods like the late 20th century and early 21st century as crucial. Many researchers have identified the mid-2020s and particularly the year 2025 as the point of culmination. One reading, given in 1934, is frequently cited for its eerie accuracy. Cayce stated that the changes are coming in portions of the now United States. The greater portion of Japan must go into the sea. While that event has not fully materialized in a literal sense, the devastating Fukushima disaster of 2011, triggered by earthquake and tsunami, was seen by many followers as a partial fulfillment. More notably, Cayce also predicted the re-emergence of Atlantis off the coast of Bimini in the late 1960s, which aligns with the discovery of unusual stone formations known as the Bimini Road in 1968. These examples helped establish a pattern of timing that, while sometimes metaphorical or symbolic, repeatedly showed alignment with real-world occurrences. The 2020s, as a decade, holds particular resonance in Cayce's larger timeline. Some of his readings allude to a period of rapid change after the turn of the century, especially following the year 2000, where he stated humanity would enter a time of testing, both spiritual and environmental. The convergence of global crises. Since 2020, from the COVID-19 pandemic to intensifying climate events and social unrest, has led many to believe that this is the exact threshold he foresaw. December 2025, in this context, acts as a symbolic deadline and energetic tipping point where accumulated momentum results in visible transformation. Whether one views this date as literal or metaphysical, it serves as a container for urgency. Cayce didn't declare this end time as apocalyptic, but rather as a moment of choice and culmination. Just as a seed planted long ago finally breaks through the soil, this point in time may represent the surface-level manifestation of forces long set in motion. If that's true, and we are indeed on the brink of such a shift, then it's essential to ask, what indications can we look to that suggest the transformation is already unfolding? The notion that a massive shift is already underway is not matter of pure speculation. It finds growing validation in the world around us. Cayce's readings often pointed to signs, subtle and overt, that would herald the approach of large-scale transformation. If we observe closely, many of these signs are not distant possibilities, but current realities quietly unfolding, often in ways that mirror his prophetic language. Environmental shifts, societal turbulence, and a notable rise in spiritual curiosity all suggest that the transformation he spoke of is not coming. It is here. On the environmental front, the Earth has entered a period of clear and escalating volatility. From intensifying hurricanes and devastating wildfires to unseasonal droughts and flooding in regions historically immune to such extremes, climate patterns have grown more unpredictable with each passing year. Geological activity has also surged. In key zones, Cayce referenced, the Pacific Ring of Fire, for instance, has shown a spike in seismic events, and Iceland, a region not heavily populated, but geologically significant, has experienced sustained volcanic activity that scientists consider unprecedented. These environmental shifts aren't isolated. They form part of a systemic rebalancing, a physical echo of the internal imbalance Cayce believed humanity would need to confront. But just as clearly as we can see the Earth reacting, we can see humanity shifting as well. Socially and culturally, polarization is becoming more acute. Political divides have sharpened, and ideologies seem to be locked in perpetual battle. While on the surface, this might seem like a sign of decay, Cayce suggested that such polarization would precede clarity. In times of great transition, the extremes often surface first, forcing a reckoning. Simultaneously, technological breakthroughs are rewriting the human experience at a dizzying pace. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biotech, and renewable energy are evolving faster than laws or ethics can follow. This technological acceleration, while disruptive, also provides tools for collaboration and consciousness expansion that previous generations could never have imagined. On a subtler level, another kind of transformation is brewing, one tied not to machines or weather, but to human awareness itself. Across the globe, people are reporting heightened intuitive capacities, unexplained synchronicities, and a growing interest in ancient spiritual systems that had long been marginalized or forgotten. Practices like meditation, energy healing, and astrology have entered the mainstream not as fads, but as responses to a deeper need for grounding and connection. More individuals are questioning the materialist worldview and exploring realms that Cayce frequently emphasized in his readings: the soul's journey, the memory of past lives, the interconnectedness of all beings. One of Cayce's most fascinating references involves what he called the awakening of the sleeping ones. This term referred to people who had, in previous incarnations, walked spiritual paths but who had forgotten their purpose in this life. According to Cayce, during the time of great transition, these souls would begin to awaken, often through suffering or internal crises, realizing they were here for a reason. Their activation would play a crucial role in stabilizing the shift, acting as anchors or guides for others lost in the storm of change. In today's context, this can be seen in the growing number of people who feel suddenly called to spiritual service, healing professions, or conscious living, despite having lived ordinary lives beforehand. With all these signs pointing toward acceleration environmentally, socially, and spiritually, it becomes clear that we are no longer anticipating change, we are living it. The pressing question now becomes how to respond. If the storm is already here, how can individuals and communities position themselves not just to survive, but to thrive within it? For Edgar Cayce, preparation for the coming shift was never about stockpiling resources or hiding from the world in fear. Rather, his guidance focused on alignment of the body, mind, and spirit with higher laws and deeper truths. He believed that those who cultivated inner balance and spiritual attunement would not only withstand the coming changes, but rise to meet them as conscious participants in the new world emerging from the old. His recommendations were as practical as they were profound, weaving together holistic health, spiritual discipline, and social harmony into a resilient framework for personal transformation. Health, according to Cayce, was the foundation of spiritual progress. He often stated that the body is the temple of the soul, and maintaining its vitality was not just a matter of survival, but of spiritual responsibility. His readings stressed a natural diet rich in alkaline-forming foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and avoiding excesses in processed or acid-forming substances. Cayce advocated for regular cleansing of the body through water, movement, and occasional fasting. These practices, he claimed, allowed the nervous and glandular systems to operate in harmony, enhancing one's receptivity to higher vibrations and intuitive insight. Equally important was the cultivation of inner stillness. Meditation was a cornerstone of Cayce's teachings, not as a passive escape, but as a means of deep alignment with universal intelligence. He advised consistent, focused meditation on spiritual ideals such as love, patience, and service. These inner disciplines were not meant to remove one from the world, but to prepare the individual to engage more consciously with it. Prayer, too, played a vital role, not just as a request for aid, but as an act of communion and attunement to divine will. Through these practices, individuals could remain centered amidst chaos, serving as calm beacons in turbulent times. But Cayce also stressed that preparation could not be purely personal. He urged people to think in terms of community and cooperation, predicting that as old systems faltered, the ability to live and work together with compassion would become not just preferable, but essential. He envisioned communities bound by shared values, where people help one another not out of obligation, but out of love and recognition of a common purpose. This, he said, would be a key element of the new consciousness rising out of the collapse of ego-driven institutions. At the heart of his message was the idea of service, not just as a moral virtue, but as a transformative force. Those who engaged in selfless action, whether through healing, teaching, listening, or building would align themselves with the higher energies governing the shift. Service would not only help stabilize the world, but elevate the individual, drawing them closer to the soul's true path. In times of upheaval, Cayce taught, spiritual growth would not occur in isolation, but through action, through the willingness to embody the ideals of love, truth, and unity in a world that desperately needs them. With these practical and spiritual tools in place, individuals don't merely survive change, they become agents of transformation. And so the question naturally unfolds: what does that transformation truly look like, not just in personal lives, but across the planet as a whole? When viewed through Cayce's lens, the coming shift is not a catastrophe to be feared, but an evolutionary doorway, a profound opportunity for humanity to transcend its limitations and awaken to a higher state of being. The physical and societal upheavals, as intense as they may be, are merely the outer expression of an inner process. Cayce consistently reminded his followers that the material world mirrors the spiritual one. As such, the turmoil in our environment and institutions reflects a deeper stirring within the collective soul of humanity, a call to evolve, to remember, and to return to what is essential, rather than presenting this shift as a terminal event. Cayce envisioned it as a birthing process. He spoke of a new age that would rise from the ashes of the old world, an era marked not by technological dominance or political conquest, but by spiritual realization. In this new phase, harmony would replace conflict, and love would overcome fear, not because the world was suddenly perfect, but because consciousness itself had matured. Cayce foresaw that those who attuned themselves to higher ideals, cooperation, compassion, truth, would become architects of this emerging reality. The new age, in his eyes, wasn't an abstract hope. It was a spiritual inevitability for those who chose to participate in it consciously. Participation, however, is not automatic. It requires an act of will, a deliberate reorientation of life toward what is eternal. Cayce taught that individuals could align with the energy of the shift by cultivating virtues such as patience, tolerance, forgiveness, and joyful service. He stressed the importance of living spiritual truths daily in the way one speaks, thinks, eats, and relates. Every action, no matter how small, carries spiritual weight. In this way, the path to transformation is walked not in great leaps, but in consistent steps, each one strengthening the soul and preparing it for what is to come. This perspective offers a profound sense of agency. No matter how chaotic the world may seem, the individual remains a powerful co-creator of reality. By choosing to evolve inwardly, to rise above fear, and to serve a greater purpose, anyone can become a living expression of the new age Cayce foresaw. With that understanding in place, it becomes even more vital to explore how these spiritual insights intersect with the knowledge emerging from modern science and ancient traditions alike. That is, Cayce's predictions continue to gain renewed interest. It's striking how many of his insights now echo findings and theories emerging from modern science. While he operated within the intuitive realm, many of his descriptions of planetary changes and consciousness evolution align in surprising ways with contemporary understanding. Geology, for instance, has revealed increasing instability along tectonic fault lines, and researchers have noted an uptick in seismic and volcanic activity, precisely the kind of physical changes Cayce spoke of in relation to the Earth's rebalancing. Similarly, climate science, once hesitant to sound alarms, now openly confirms that the planet is entering an unprecedented phase of environmental upheaval, with rising temperatures, shifting jet streams, and increasingly erratic weather patterns that match Cayce's description of Earth breaking up in various places. Beyond physical science, the field of consciousness research has begun to explore ideas Cayce articulated decades ago. He often referred to the interconnectedness of all life and the power of thought and intention to shape reality concepts. That once seemed mystical, but now find a home in quantum theory and neuroscience. Researchers investigating the nature of consciousness, particularly within the realm of quantum mechanics, are beginning to consider that awareness may not be confined to the brain alone. Theories of quantum consciousness suggest that the mind may be a non-local field, interacting with space-time in ways that defy classical understanding. This resonates with Cayce's teachings that consciousness exists beyond physical form and that spiritual evolution is deeply tied to vibrational attunement. Even more compelling is the way Cayce's forecasts mirror ancient wisdom from indigenous and spiritual traditions across the world. The Hopi, the Maya, and various Andean cultures have long spoken of a great purification, or transition from one world age to another, an evolutionary leap not just in civilization, but in consciousness itself. Hindu cosmology also speaks of Kali Yuga, an age of darkness and decay followed by renewal and enlightenment. These perspectives all emphasize a cyclical nature of time and a collective movement toward rebirth, themes that are at the core of Cayce's vision. This convergence of science, prophecy, and spiritual tradition points to more than coincidence. It suggests a shared recognition of the shift already underway. But understanding the shift, no matter how thorough, is only half the journey. The more pressing and personal question is, how do we respond, not just conceptually, but with action and presence? For many, Cayce's predictions have moved beyond the realm of theory and into lived experience. Across the globe, individuals have begun to share personal stories that mirror the essence of the shift he described: subtle awakenings, radical life changes, and encounters with phenomena that defy conventional explanation. These aren't simply isolated spiritual events, but parts of a larger mosaic reflecting a collective transition happening in real time. What makes these accounts particularly compelling is not only their diversity, but the sense of timing that unites them. Many report that their experiences have intensified over the past few years, coinciding with the global disruptions that began in 2020 and seem to be accelerating toward a point of culmination. Take, for instance, those who have undergone near-death experiences. Their stories often speak of leaving the physical body, encountering a realm of light, and receiving knowledge about their life's purpose that dramatically alters their path. What's fascinating is that many of these individuals return not only changed, but with a mission and urgent sense that they are meant to help guide others through some kind of awakening. These stories echo Cayce's concept of the sleeping ones who are activated during times of great need. Individuals who once led conventional lives are suddenly pulled toward healing work, spiritual teaching, or service-based careers without having sought them out. It's as if something deep within has been triggered, an inner recognition responding to outer transformation. Others describe spontaneous psychic openings, dreams that come true, intuitive impressions that prove accurate, or a heightened sensitivity to energy and emotion. These are often accompanied by dramatic life shifts, divorces, relocations, career changes, or a breakdown of previously held beliefs. Rather than seeing these events as random, many interpret them as signs that they are being pushed toward authenticity, toward living in alignment with their true self. This inner alignment, Cayce suggested, is a critical aspect of the new consciousness being birthed. What's striking in many of these stories is the absence of fear. Even amidst uncertainty or personal loss, individuals speak of a deeper peace, a sense that the chaos has purpose. They describe feeling guided, even when they don't fully understand the path ahead. These accounts, though personal and subjective, provide a living testimony to the broader transformation Cayce predicted. They suggest that the shift is not something we are merely anticipating. It is already unfolding in the hearts, minds and lives of people everywhere. And as we witness these experiences weaving through the fabric of our world, it becomes clear that the shift isn't just to be understood or endured, it is meant to be embraced, learned from, and integrated consciously, both individually and collectively. As we come full circle, Cayce's warning of a massive shift before December 2025 takes on a new depth, not as a single apocalyptic event, but as a gradual, multifaceted transformation already moving through the fabric of our world. From climate instability to rising social tensions, from personal awakenings to global upheaval, the evidence. This perspective offers a profound sense of agency. No matter how chaotic the world may seem, the individual remains a powerful co-creator of reality. By choosing to evolve inwardly, to rise above fear, and to serve a greater purpose, anyone can become a living expression of the new age Cayce foresaw. With that understanding in place, it becomes even more vital to explore how these spiritual insights intersect with the knowledge emerging from modern science and ancient traditions alike. As Cayce's predictions continue to gain renewed interest, it's striking how many of his insights now echo findings and theories emerging from modern science. While he operated within the intuitive realm, many of his descriptions of planetary changes and consciousness evolution align in surprising ways with contemporary understanding. Geology, for instance, has revealed increasing instability along tectonic fault lines, and researchers have noted an uptick in seismic and volcanic activity, precisely the kind of physical changes Cayce spoke of in relation to the Earth's rebalancing. Similarly, climate science, once hesitant to sound alarms, now openly confirms that the planet is entering an unprecedented phase of environmental upheaval, with rising temperatures, shifting jet streams, and increasingly erratic weather patterns that match Cayce's description of Earth breaking up in various places. Beyond physical science, the field of consciousness research has begun to explore ideas Cayce articulated decades ago. He often referred to the interconnectedness of all life and the power of thought and intention to shape reality concepts that once seemed mystical, but now find